Most people come to Peru for Machu Picchu, but nobody talks about the north. Today I'm walking Piura with my local friend Gian Carlos to see what life is really like in one of Peru's most overlooked cities. Have you ever wondered what an undiscovered place such as northern Peru would look like as a tourist or perhaps even as an expat? Lots of people love coming to this very popular country, Peru. For example, going to Machu Picchu and all these other popular places, but have you ever heard about the northern part, the northern desert? We're not talking about Mancora, we're talking about a place called Piura. Today I have a special guest and his name is?
Gian Carlos.
Gian Carlos, and we're gonna be walking around and checking out one special part of the city and he's gonna give us a bunch of information. How old are you, bud?
I'm 45 years old.
Right, okay.
I'm from Piura.
He is from Piura, so this is a city that we're in now. It's a northern Peru city in the desert. How do we meet? Let's talk about that quickly.
We started to talk through a group of WhatsApp.
Like a tourist group?
And then couchsurfing.
Couchsurfing and a WhatsApp like travel group.
Yeah.
And he's a super passionate guy about travel. He loves history and he loves culture. So where are we currently?
We are in Plaza Tres Culturas.
Plaza Tres Culturas.
Plaza Tres Culturas. This place is special because it's probably the last place where you can find the last sculpture of Francisco Pizarro, who was the guy who discovered Peru in 1532. They conquered the Incas. And this is probably the last sculpture in Peru because it's something like against the race.
You just mentioned to me that the river is actually controlled by a system of a reservoir up in the mountains, right?
Yeah. It's controlled. And
they use that to make the energy, like the hydroelectric plants?
Yeah, there's a small
dam. And as you can see right now, there is water, actually a lot more water than when I arrived. So look at that, all these trees and all these plants must just completely get soaked when this comes in, right? When they actually let the water come down. And it's been raining a lot recently, right?
Yeah, the rainy season started like 1 month ago and we have now some water. And that's good for all of us actually, because we are in a desert area, so we need water.
But since they have the represa, they have the dam and the system up in the mountains, we still haven't gotten a lot of that water that they're collecting in the in that area, right?
Yeah, this is important, definitely the water. We are in a desertic area, so fields of cotton and rice need a lot of water.
And that's one of the main crops of this area?
Yeah, the water,
What does the water feed when the water comes down? What is the water used for when it comes into the river and into the river basin area?
Yeah, it's using for cotton fields and rice, basically.
We're gonna check out the main square. So for people that don't know, the main square in Peru, for whatever reason, is not called the same thing as other Latin American countries. They call it Plaza de Armas
Plaza de
here.
Armas,
Other countries, for example, Mexico, they say the Zócalo. In Mexico and other countries, they call it just the plaza.
Yeah, and you know why it's Plaza de Armas?
Why is that?
It's because when they founded the cities, the army was formed in the main square. So the reason is Plaza de Armas because soldiers came with their guns. So arma is gun. You know?
Yeah, okay.
That's the reason of the name Plaza de Armas.
Okay, so it has more of a military type of
it was a military area. Yeah, exactly.
We are in what's called the city of eternal heat or eternal sun
La
or
ciudad
something?
del eterno verano. Es la de
eternal
endless summer.
Endless summer,
yeah.
Today we're going to be walking around and checking out this plaza first. Oh, it's actually decorated more than I remember seeing before. All these
Christmas
flags
time.
were added. I know, but even in Christmas, I don't remember seeing those. Those colors right there.
The red and blue.
The ribbons over there, whatever it is.
It's because it's the anniversary of Piura.
Is it the anniversary of Piura?
6th of January.
Ah, okay.
It's the main day to Piura.
City. So how do you celebrate that anniversary?
There will be a lot of shows here, concerts.
We're gonna check out another place that Juan Carlos mentioned. That's
it's a very
interesting historical spot, right?
Yeah, it's a very important for us.
What
for
exactly
our
is
culture.
it? Let's
It's
talk
the
about
house of the main hero Peru has. The name is Miguel Grau Seminario. It's the main hero. It's a Marine that fought against Chile in the war of the Pacific War. Yeah.
Right. We actually chatted about this when we had one of our little hangouts, our meetings.
Yeah.
Juan is just super into history, as I mentioned, and He told me the entire story of the battle between Chile, Bolivia, and Peru.
So,
and he mentioned that this guy is their hero.
Yeah, he's from Piura, so people in Piura, we are very proud that Miguel Grau is from our land.
Right, and you have this basically your museum about.
Yeah, it's a house museum.
Here is a spot, the house that he mentioned.
Marina de Guerra del Perú.
Miguel Grau. Right?
El 27 de julio de 1834 nació en esta casa el contraalmirante Miguel Grau. He was a Marine.
A Marine.
Yeah, he had a ship. The name was Huáscar, and with Huáscar ship he destroyed many Chilean ships too. But at the end he was captured by Chilean army, and he decided to suicide instead of taking him.
Yeah. Also, instead of surrendering, he.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
But
yeah. Very proud guy.
Yeah, but Chilean could take the ship, and now it's a trophy of war.
Their trophy of war, like they have that in Chile?
They have it in Chile, yeah.
This was a war where Bolivia owned a port, Chile wanted the port, and they ended up causing this war to take the port from Bolivia. Peru ended up helping Bolivia, but both Bolivia and Peru ended up losing to Chile in the end. Right?
Yeah. Bolivia lost Antofagasta.
They lost their port city,
The
right?
port city, and they surrendered. And at the end, the war was just between Chile and Peru. And Peru lost two big and important provinces in the south, Arica and Tarapacá, in 1879.
Let's talk a little bit about your job as we go through. You said you work in the mountains mostly?
Yeah, I'm working a mine as a supervisor, engineer in construction of camps for people in the mines.
A lot of people aren't quite clear about what most jobs like people have in Peru and Chile. These two countries are some of the most prosperous, or maybe the most productive mining countries in the world. One of the top, right?
That's true. Yeah, the mine, where I work, is a gold mine, and one of the most important gold mines in Peru. This is the main avenue, Avenida Grau.
This is Avenida Grau.
Yeah, okay. Everything here in Piura has the name of Grau because we are very proud of being.
Grau is
Miguel Grau. Everything.
The hero that we just mentioned, that we just went to go see, the museum. He is Miguel Grau, and actually, I've noticed that in like pretty much every city I've been to in Arequipa and all these places, it's always Grau.
We are in the land of Miguel Grau, so we have to put Miguel Grau to everything as a name.
Honor him by calling everything Grau.
We are proud of that. You know.
Where are we going right now?
We are coming to the oldest church in Piura.
The oldest church is called
San Francisco.
San Francisco?
San Francisco is the oldest church founded by the Spanish in 1684.
Okay, so St. Francis, right? So San Francisco
San Francisco
is the oldest one here?
The oldest was here in the city, not in Peru.
And the cathedral is a bit newer, huh?
The cathedral is not new, but it's younger.
Not as old, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Your country and Ecuador, they both have like a lot of dams and a lot of green energy, but your country is much more diversified, I guess.
Yeah.
And you didn't have the issues that Ecuador had, right?
Yeah.
Your country generally sells energy to Ecuador.
Right? We sell. Ecuador import energy from Peru and from Colombia. We had problems because of water.
They had a pretty bad drought as well, so they needed whatever they could. The amount of roads that are in disrepair, that's pretty high.
It is a problem because of the rains.
Is it because of the rain?
Yeah, exactly. We had a phenomenon del Niño 2 years ago, and the city was really nice with the streets, perfect, but the rain just washed away everything. And now they are a new project to fix everything again. But this is not all the time. It's just because the rain we had 2 years ago.
Every 6 or 7 years, these types of rainfalls, like extremely heavy rain, falls and it destroys parts of the cities.
Yeah, it destroys everything, not only the city, but the towns around the city and along the river are destroyed for the rains because there is not a good system.
Because of floods?
Yeah, because of that.
Why don't the engineers or the cities start building like flood?
Corruption, basically.
Corruption. All the money is kind of stolen.
Yeah, we have amazing professional people. But these people don't work with the government, you know. So basically it's corruption.
What I find interesting about this church is right next to the church we have Chifa.
Yeah.
Now, Chifa is a very Peruvian thing. Can you describe what Chifa is for us?
Chifa is a Peruvian-Chinese food, the mix between both cultures, and they came with Chinese people came as kind of slaves in the 80s. Now we have Chifa everywhere. We love Chifa. It's a very tasty and delicious food.
So this is actually one of my favorite parts about Peru is the Peruvian-Asian fusion.
Yeah.
And this has like a fried rice, like fried noodle dishes.
Yeah, noodles.
In terms of Chinese food, pretty much every country that I've been to in Latin America has it, but having good quality fusion food with the local, not very common. So this is one thing that Peru does amazingly well. I'm actually going to be eating chifa right before I leave. That's my favorite food in Peru. I mean, obviously ceviche is fantastic.
After ceviche.
Ceviche and this type of chifa, the Peruvian Asian fusion food is so good.
Really.
So, I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone knows that Peru is one of the top cuisine stops in Latin America.
Yeah.
You always there's
in
always
in the world actually.
International awards.
Top 10.
Yeah, your country, and I think specifically places like Arequipa as well. For adobo or something, they constantly win a lot of awards.
The north has more delicious food than the south.
Mostly like fish related, right?
Fish related, yeah. More than fish, seafood.
And let's chat a little bit about the holidays that we just basically went through together, because you invited me both on Christmas and New Year's to celebrate with you and your family. Appreciate you doing that. So let's give a little bit of an idea of what we did on Christmas, because it's quite a bit different here in Peru compared to other countries.
Yeah. The way we celebrate Christmas is like the way we celebrate New Year's Eve, waiting for the 25th in the night to celebrate.
So you wait till midnight for what you call the Noche Buena, right?
Noche Buena. We call it Noche Buena. And we just kiss Jesus as child. And then we wish many good things to our family and friends.
What sort of things do you eat and drink?
We eat turkey and pork. We eat panettone too.
I actually just recently realized that it's like an Italian recipe brought down that Peru kind of like made into the traditional.
When the Italians came to Peru, they brought this kind of cake. We adopted the cake, and now we produce a lot of panettone, which is sweet and with dry fruits.
Here it's more like it's a very like strong connection to Christianity, right?
Yeah. It's a very Catholic celebration. More than the sharing gift and everything.
Right.
The most important is to share with family and with friends. That's the concept of Christmas.
We just celebrated New Year's. You guys burn dolls here, is that right?
Yeah. We have this habit to burn dolls and put some fireworks inside.
What kind of dolls are they though? They're not like Raggedy Ann. They're not like dolls for girls.
No, normally it's political people that we have to burn because they are so corrupted that we need to.
You're frustrated with them?
Yeah. We need to burn these people. We want to give this point of view about that we have in a new year. We have to finish everything in this new year, and that means to burn bad people. You know, that's what we are doing, burning bad people.
When I mentioned this and showed pictures to my mom, she's like, "Oh, it seems like they're really getting rid of some aggression, some anger. Releasing anger." She said.
You know that the last Peruvian presidents, all of them are in jail. The last 5 presidents we had in the last 30 years, all of them are in the jungle.
Buenas tardes. So there's actually a very popular type of ceviche here. It has both fish and black clams. So we're gonna order that today, and we're gonna show you what that looks like, how that tastes. It's the most famous style of ceviche in the north, which the black clam ceviche. Here we have the fish on this side, right?
Fish.
This is the sweet potato, camote.
Yeah.
A spicy sauce on the side.
Rocoto.
This is rocoto and a spicy pepper. This is that thing that you said is not a bean, but it's basically a bean.
Sarandaja.
Saranda?
Sarandaja.
And then this is like a
corn,
like a
cancha.
dried corn, right?
Cancha.
And then this is the concha right
Concha
here.
negra.
the black shells. So the black
shells,
shells,
black
they don't actually give you the actual shells of it. You can see right here, it's just the
You can see it.
like the meat and then the sauce on the bottom. So let's chat a little bit about living in this part of Peru, because Peru is actually a pretty popular spot to live as a foreigner, but I haven't seen literally any foreigners living here in Piura. Is this a popular place for foreigners, this city specifically?
No, not for foreigners.
Yeah.
I think the weather is complicated for.
A bit too hot for most people,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
So where do you find most of the foreigners that come to Peru?
They come basically to the south, no?
Right, so Lima is a big one, right?
Yeah,
The biggest
Lima,
city, the capital.
Cusco, Arequipa,
Sure.
and Lima, Cusco, Arequipa are the most important foreigner cities.
Do you think there's some opportunity for people to come here? What kind of person should come here and consider it as a place to live?
I think the person that likes beach, for example.
Yeah.
Because the closest one is 1 hour from here. The weather, if you like hot weather, if you like tropical places, then Piura would be a good option for you.
And of course, seafood and fish.
Seafood, fish, exactly. But if you are more into the cold weather, Piura won't be, for any reason, the place.
Besides that, do you think it's necessary to have Spanish to live here? Like, I don't think I've met many people that speak English besides the ones that are like taking classes.
Yeah, in Piura in particular, you need to speak Spanish because this is not a touristic place. So I speak English because I traveled, but it's not normal that people speak English so easy.
This is, it's the fifth biggest city in the country, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
besides that, I mean, finding people that speak English is not super common. Well, I really appreciate you giving all that info about the history, the culture, because like you said, it's not a very touristy place. So finding out that information and knowing the actual insights, the actual history of the place is really cool.
I think you should give a chance to Piura, at least for a couple of days.
Try for 2, the minimum that everyone does, 1 or 2.
Yeah, then you will find that it's an interesting place, not touristic, but interesting for good food in general. So
I think for people that maybe don't like the hot weather, they could come in maybe the colder months, which is June, July, August.
Yeah.
All right, well, hasta la próxima.
see you, amigo. Bye bye.